My name is Amy Gill Hatch, and this is my final project. For me, something that really defines the purpose of me teaching and why I want to teach is fun and learning and a love of learning. And so this is my presentation and my project on everything that encompasses my teaching philosophies and thoughts on classroom management. So to begin, we have my teaching philosophy. I am a big advocate for whole child teaching. I am not in the teaching profession to just raise students that will score well on standardized tests, but instead I want to impact lives and help children develop into someone that can contribute to society in every way, not just academic. I believe that the best way to accomplish this is through two theories that I've kind of mixed together and blended with my own personal thoughts. So one theory is called conscious discipline. The theorist is Becky Bailey, and there's a high emphasis on child development and making appropriate practices to that child, as well as being assertive and emphasizing the positive rather than telling a student, don't do this. Instead, it's crucial that we can tell students, do this instead, and really helping them with their development in that way. Another two theorists that I really like are Kerwin and Mendler, and they teach about disciplining with dignity. And they talk about how you need to set clear expectations and then discipline your students with dignity and also teach your students how to have dignity. And a huge part of that is modeling dignity yourself, that you treat your students with respect and expect the same treatment of them to you. I think that a huge part of accomplishing my philosophy comes down to a democratic classroom. I am big into democracy in my classroom. I think it's really important to help teach the whole child and so that the child can understand the purpose of everything that goes on in a classroom. So I've split this into several different sections, and I'll just briefly talk about each. My philosophy, again, this just kind of ties in with what we talked about, but I want to help children develop into self-sufficient people. To me, this means that they don't need me to give them every single step of every single assignment. So in that way, I'd be more of a low-control teacher. However, I do want to set clear expectations and have my standards and rules, which would be more high control. So I would fall more in the medium control teacher. But I want students to be able to act for themselves and to participate in their own ways. So another great way to do this is through student voice. Something big that I want to do is to have class meetings. This was really inspired by the morning meetings presentation we had in our classroom management class. I really was touched by the idea that students can run a discussion and that students can express their opinions, whether it's something that we've discussed in class or something that's happening in the news or something that they've experienced in their own lives. I want students to be able to have the opportunity to share that with me and with others. A big part in a class democracy is having student choice. I believe that this applies in every category. Whether it's disciplining, giving them a choice between you can clean this up on your own or I can help you, or whether it's giving them a choice in their academic success, giving them options to accomplish an assignment. So that's something that's really important to me. I want to be able to reach the most amount of students as possible. So instead of always assigning a specific assignment in one way, I want to provide options that students can choose what they want to do. As long as it still meets these requirements, they can do a video presentation or make a PowerPoint or write an essay, etc. I think another great way to establish a democracy in a classroom is through student leadership opportunities. Coming back to morning meetings, I think this can be accomplished through having student roles that will be the leaders for the discussion and kind of facilitate the discussion and take part in that. I think also having class jobs, which comes here as well, and having jobs that allow for leadership positions that switch constantly so that by the end of the semester, every single student will have an opportunity to be in a leadership position as well as other positions. One of the really important positions to me that I want to include in my classroom is what I call class mediators. So essentially, if students have a conflict between two students, instead of coming up to me and having me resolve the conflict, we'll have a student mediator or a couple student mediators that they go up to. And this student will then facilitate a discussion between the two, and the three students will come up with a solution on their own, which they can then bring to me if something hasn't been resolved or if they want further direction or approval. But I think this teaches a lot of really good principles and helps students really stand on their own 2 feet and provides them experience to prepare for the real world, and again caters to the whole child rather than just the academic. So the last element of democratic classroom I'm going to talk about is civility. And so this comes back to my philosophy on expectations. I will have my expectations clear. I expect my students to be civil, to engage in classroom discussions and learning, and to be respectful towards each other. So I will have posters in my classroom. I will make my expectations clear vocally as well as with other cues, and also really make sure I enforce that and remind students of the importance of that to me. So another really important thing in classroom management is learning environment. This is a picture of the layout that I have, with the front of the classroom being up here and the back of the classroom being back here. I have a little reading area, or it can just be a group area we can go back to. The students are put in groups, but they're all facing and can easily turn towards the front so that nobody's back is to the teacher at any time. I want my desk to be up in the front instead of pushed into a back corner. I want to be able to, when I am at my desk, which probably won't be too frequently, but when I am, I want to be able to still be engaged in the classroom and not just be in a corner tucked away doing my own thing. And then I have lots of space here for storage or for assignments, little cubbies that students can put assignments in. That's back here in the back as well. As well as additional desks here with, especially for computer use, where everyone can see the computer screen. It's not hidden. And then this here is supposed to be a little kidney table that I can do group work with. For rules and procedures, I have chosen 3 simple rules here that I think are really important and that I will focus on. But going back to a democratic classroom, I want my students to be a part of making the rules. And so as I present these 3 rules that are really important to me, I'm going to ask the students how we're going to implement that in our classroom and if there's any additional rules they want to include. For motivation, I think that the best way to motivate is to use students' strengths to motivate, to show them what they already can do and emphasize the positive. So I have these little star cutouts that I would put on students' desks when I notice exceptional behavior. And I'm a big fan of the positive and emphasizing the positive, as well as including positive information or positive interventions, which brings me to my page on interventions. One of my favorite positive interventions is this tree here. It's a little orange tree, so you have it up in your classroom somewhere, and then students can fill out little oranges of something kind that another student did for them that day. So I have something like, Eli shared his fruit snacks with me, or Josh helped me with math. And so then students are noticing kind acts of other students, as well as they're inspired to then be kind in the classroom. And so that is my basic core of my thoughts on classroom management and my personal teaching philosophy. I think there's a lot of good that can be done and that teaching is difficult, but the most important thing is that we can first manage a classroom, because we're not going to touch lives without being able to manage our classroom and to have that respectful relationship with our students.